right, everybody, it is time for my favorite part of every single video that we do. It is time to make the list. As I always encourage, please feel free to comment along for this specific video your favorite comic book characters as well as your favorite costume and or costumes, because that's what I will be doing today. If you don't want to put it in the comment section, feel free to email me, eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. That email address is in every single video description that we post. So if you want to just copy and paste it, feel free to. We can have a private dialogue as well. I will be doing Listception today. And what Listception is, for those who don't know what it is, I'm going to rank my top 10 favorite comic book characters. And with each one of those rankings, I'm going to pick my 3 favorite costumes. All right, almost a sub-ranking, a list within the list. And it's going to show you why I like these characters, why I like the way that they look, and for a lot of them, the reasons why I fell in love with them. So let's get to it. Let's make a list. My number 10, I'm going to go with Carnage, Cletus Cassidy. All right, what a cool looking character. All right, terrifying even. I legitimately used to have nightmares about Carnage as a kid. I did. All right, and I came into knowing about Carnage through the Maximum Carnage video game for Sega Genesis. And that just the red look, that evil cackle that they gave him, his ability to turn his arms into symbiote axes and like these extension fork kind of things and all sorts of crazy makeshift weaponry. It legitimately scared me as a child. Yeah, I used to have a dream that me and my sister and my parents had to hop in our car repeatedly because Carnage would follow us wherever we went. He would jump through, he would like break through the roof and act crazy, and this is 100% legit, that he would be there laughing and chasing after us, and we'd have to hop in our little box van thing that we had back in the mid-90s and boogie. But I was legit scared of Carnage. But through that, as I grew up and realized that he was just a comic book character, anything that had Carnage with it, I was obsessed with. I had an action figure, a really cool Carnage action figure, that was a major part of a lot of our my dad's toy wars that we used to have. The comic books, if I seen Carnage was on a comic book cover, I was more keen to go and buy that because this character was heinous, villainous. I mean, literally just the embodiment of evil. There's no gray area with Carnage. It is just pure evil with him. And in a day and age where villains are given the hero treatment sometimes or the sympathetic villain treatment, there is little to no sympathy when it comes to Carnage. My favorite Carnage looks are as follows. 1, or A, it is the classic look. All right, the one that he debuted with in the comics in the early 90s. It was a contrast from his quote-unquote father, and he just looked cool. He was a tall but lengthy character, and just the red with the kind of the I don't know, it was like a black veiny kind of look, like there was like black streaks through his art style that looked really, really cool. Always loved that. My second favorite is from a video game. Now, a lot of these entries they can be from the movies, they can be from video games, they can be from certain toys, etc. But this one is from the Spider-Man video game for the PlayStation 1. And it is when the Carnage symbiote, after being defeated by Spider-Man, leaves Cletus Cassidy and hops on Dr. Otto Octavius. And it's called Monster Ock. I don't think they've done it ever in the comic books. This thing is terrifying. You cannot fight it in the game. You have to run away from it. There's like a bunch of levels you have to try and run and escape from. It makes terrifying noises. And, just nightmare fuel. Absolute nightmare fuel. My third favorite Carnage look, and the symbiote has taken over a considerable amount of characters. There's the Carnage Cosmic, where he took over like the Silver Surfer, which was pretty cool. But the one I really like is when, I think it was within that storyline, if I'm not mistaken, was when he took over the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. And it gave the Spider-Man costume that Ben Reilly was wearing at the time this Carnage face look to it. And it was pretty terrifying. Pretty terrifying. There's been a lot of cool different art styles of Carnage, some realistic stuff, some other than that. But those are my three favorite when it pertains to that character. So Carnage comes into my number 10. My number 9 is Robin, but more specifically Dick Grayson, because I know there's been a ton of iterations of Robin. There's Tim Drake. There's Bruce Wayne's son. A lot of stuff that I really haven't explored, way too much. But Dick Grayson was the one that I grew up with knowing. I love Robin. He was relatable. He was a DC character who didn't really have powers. He had really good athletic ability, and he was the boy wonder. When you're growing up, all right, or when you were consuming any form of entertainment, you were looking for relatability. And Robin, in that regard, a boy superhero, was relatable. I had a lot of different Robin toys in my day. I told the story. One of my earliest childhood memories was a Robin toy where we were sitting in my parents' mobile home, and my Mima kept flipping his cape around on me and stressing me out like little 3-year-old me. I remember this very vividly. But I play as Robin in various video games. He had the Batman and Robin game. Seeing him in some of the movies and stuff. Like, Robin was everywhere. And I grew up with him at the perfect time. Batman animated series, very much a part of. In fact, the Batman animated series look is one of my favorite costumes because it's what I knew. And because it's the version of the toy that I had. The long green tights with the red tank. It's vintage to me. I can't do the short shorts early version of him. I mean, that was before my time. I can appreciate it, but this look is just right to me. In fact, the Batman Forever costume that Chris O'Donnell wore in that movie was a upgraded version of that. That is my next choice for favorite costumes. This is the one that I dressed up as for Halloween in the 2nd grade. And love that costume. Loved it to death. It was meant to be. It's a little bit bright. It was a little bit brighter version of it. Probably closer to the animated series version, to be perfectly honest with you. But the look was, it was based off the Robin and Batman Forever. And my other favorite look is the Nightwing look for Dick Grayson. Seeing Nightwing was really neat. I love the black with the blue. I think the bright blue really pops. It's called the Blue V costume. That's what it's officially labeled as. That's my specific favorite one. But to see a character go from one superhero identity, to a different one was always neat to see how they grew, especially when you don't want to be in Batman's shadow anymore. You don't want to go from the boy wonder to having your own identity and growing up. And Nightwing just hits right. And there's a lot of cool different variations for him, but the Blue V like OG Nightwing, that is my favorite look. My cousin used to have a Nightwing action figure that I loved and adored. So yeah, number 9 is Robin. All right, my number 8. This family, this bloodline is something that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and we're going to talk about his brother a little bit later on in this list. But I'm going to go with Alex Summers, a.k.a. Havoc. Always thought he was a really cool character. I remember the first time I came across him was the X-Men animated series, He showed up in a episode where they were kind of squaring off, where the X-Men were squaring off against X-Factor. But I don't remember, or at the time that it was revealed that they were brothers. All right, I kind of had to grow into that knowledge a little bit. I used to have I actually still do it, might have it, but my cousin Nico had a X-Men board game. It was like a Danger Room thing, and it came with a bunch of little figures. And that was another time where I really liked Havoc. The art style on his little power card looked really cool, and just having that little figure was great. I think family characters are really neat, especially when you learn about their origin story just a little bit. And he's got some cool powers. He's got some really cool powers. He's not in too many video games, which is kind of a shame. I know he's in the X-Men Mutant Academy. That fighting game, I played as him a lot. He had some cool abilities in it. And, excuse me. And the Lego Marvel Superheroes game, the original one, he's in it. And he's got some neat abilities in that too. But Havoc has always looked cool. I've always appreciated him because of his relationship to his brother. And knowing that, it was gifted to me by my good friend Greg, the Havoc action figure, because he knew how much this character meant to me. And I've been a big fan ever since. If I see Havoc on the cover of a comic book, I will pick it up. And I have quite a few. All right, so my favorite Havoc costumes. One is that original one. It's got the weird 3 things on it, and I got the little bit of a history with it. It came from Larry Trask, who was the who created the Sentinels. He gave it to him with a special gemstone to help him control his powers, because these Summers, they have trouble controlling their abilities. And it's pretty simple. It looks like Bullseye's costume. To be perfectly honest with you, it's really quite simple, but it's very devious. It's very devious looking, and I like it. My second favorite is the X-Factor costume that he wore, because now he's starting to open up a little bit. He has better control over his powers. He's got the jean jacket, that brown jacket going on, but he's got the dark blue with the X, and then he's showing more of his face. He's got the superhero cowl and the blonde hair exposed, and I've seen a lot of cool art with that. My third favorite Havoc costume is, they call it the Starjammers costume, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the version that they utilize in the Lego Marvel Superheroes game. But I like the way it, there's lines in the suit, and it all kind of connects to a centerpiece, kind of the way Iron Man has a center piece in his costume. But it I don't know, there's something about that blue popping on the dark costume, especially knowing that it's energy coming from Havoc, is really cool. It has the cowl, and it feels like a bit of a mix between his original suit and a modern look. It's probably his best look, and it makes him stand out quite a bit. So Havoc is my number 8. We're moving on to my number 7, and we are going to the Scarlet Witch. All right, Wanda Maximoff. I have loved this character for a long time. She is played magnificently by the wonderful Elizabeth Olsen, and I hope that we get to see her come back into it. I feel like we only really got a taste of what the Scarlet Witch can truly do. I first recall the Scarlet Witch in a series of books. I think it was by Tom DeFalco. But it was a X-Men Spider-Man crossover. Or no, I'm sorry. It was a X-Men Avengers crossover. All right, it was a series of 3 books, and there was one of the covers of the books had Scarlet Witch running alongside of Rogue, which is pretty neat. But that red look was always pretty neat, and just knowing her abilities. All right, and then also the connection. She's Magneto's daughter, which is something that I wish they'd explore in the MCU. I don't know if we're going to get that opportunity. Probably not. But I remember her from that specific cover. There was that. There was some stuff from the X-Men animated series. There's the scene, the one episode from Wendigo Mountain where her and Quicksilver learn of their superhero origins. But she's been a nice addition to the MCU. I will say that. She was one of the first really power characters with powers. Right? I mean, you had Captain America, who was super, he had his super soldier serum. Iron Man's a tech guy. Hulk has powers, I guess. But as far as like magic and stuff, they were big time additions to it. And she's been played magnificently. So my favorite costumes for the Scarlet Witch is the original one. All right, the red on the kind of pink costume that she has going on. Not the OG green one that she started off, that she wore from that, but her I guess her 80s 90s kind of Avengers X-Men look. I will go to the movies with a lot of these ones. The WandaVision costume where she officially becomes the Scarlet Witch. She's starting to kind of turn evil a little bit. It's like a short sleeve kind of look, but when she's battling Agatha in the sky and gets the Scarlet Witch look powers, like her MCU looking powers, it is really cool. It's a really epic scene. And then I love the Multiverse of Madness costume. Evil. It's really cool to see the not despair, but the turning of the Scarlet Witch. She's being consumed by that evil book that she's, I forget what it's called. Forgive me, but it's a long sleeve look. She's starting to look really deranged. It was really special, and it kind of showed the mental state that flex mental state that the Scarlet Witch is known for in the comic books. That kind of 1 minute she could be ruthlessly evil and the other she could be really good. All right, House of M storyline. Go check that one out. It's good stuff. But Scarlet Witch, that's my number 7. And number 6, we are moving on to with her twin brother, Quicksilver. Quicksilver's appeal to me it definitely did start with the costumes and in the ability. The power. Fast characters always appealed to me. I think the idea of having super speed was, kind of cool. All right, from a economical standpoint, I think that's one that I would definitely enjoy. What's that? You don't have to get a car, buy a car, put gas in a car. You just run fast to wherever I have to go. And again, knowing the connection, his sister's the Scarlet Witch. She's the son of Magneto, allegedly. I think they might have retconned it at some point, or they do too much hokey pokey stuff to get a pop now in these comic book storylines. But always look cool. And we got 2 live action versions of him. And we had the Fox Quicksilver, which was played by Evan Peters, and then we had the Marvel, the MCU Quicksilver, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. I didn't like the Evan Peters one. At least the look. I liked some of the showing off the powers. The slow motion scenes were pretty cool, but I thought Fox Quicksilver looked way too goofy. I loved the MCU version. I think maybe a bit of a hybrid of both would have been excellent or perfect, but I can't tell you how bad I wanted Quicksilver to live or return after Age of Ultron. There was all sorts of rumors about him being alive in the Captain America Civil War movie, and it just wasn't to be. Quicksilver's awesome. Playing Captain America in the Avengers game for, I think, Nintendo and Sega. He would come by and offer help sometimes. He'd run and give that. Playing as him in the Lego Marvel Avengers game was really neat. Utilizing some of his super speed. This is all the reasons why I wanted to be him for Halloween about 10 years ago. and I bought his Age of Ultron shirt. I bought a nice pair of like Converse shoes and spray painted my hair gray. I should have did a white spray, but actually it was a silver spray that I used. I should have bought a white, but I wanted to replicate that because it was just such a cool look. It was such a cool look. My favorite Quicksilver costumes. There's been a couple doozies. But I like the blue suit. That's the one I grew up knowing, grew accustomed to. It's just a primary blue. It's pretty simple. I like the green suit. The original green suit is pretty cool when done in the right illustration. Sometimes they give it a modern touch, and it looks really neat. And obviously the Age of Ultron look. There's the one where it's like a split, like blue and gray silver suit, like a dark blue and a gray. And I can't stand that one. That is, I'm not about that. But yeah, those are my 3 favorite Quicksilver costumes. I love the character, and I would love to see more from him. Certainly so. Hopefully someday he gets to return to the MCU in some way, shape, or form. We'll see how they go about it. But yeah, Quicksilver, number 6. Number 5. This character I came into loving through the movies. It's Peter Quill, Star-Lord. To be specific, to gotta know his name, right? For like the first movie look was all I needed to see. Here's a guy who, with the long red jacket, he's got his kind of, his under stuff going on, but the mask was cool, right? This mask that you can pop on with a touch of an earpiece and it goes away. And that was a standout look for him. I wish they'd bring it back. I don't remember it being in Guardians 3. I think it broke in Guardians 2, and that was kind of the end of it. But that helmet, that mask was the coolest thing. I want one of the replica ones so bad. If anybody's willing to part ways with one, please let me know. I would love that thing because it was just such a cool concept. But I mean, Chris Pratt playing him was perfect. I don't think if just anyone played Star-Lord, Peter Quill, that it would have came off as good. He had the right writers, the right directors. Everything just worked out. And Star-Lord was pretty much a nothing character until the MCU, and like it helped make him popular. And now he's in a lot of stuff. I can't wait for Star-Lord to come back. They say he will return, and I hope I get to see it because he is my favorite MCU character, absolute favorite. My looks are, again, 2 of them are movie oriented. So the first one is the first Guardians costume, and the second one is a Guardians 3, which was they took it from the comic books. It's the blue costume where they actually all kind of have a uniform. I got really excited when they did the McDonald's Thor. I think it was the Thor figures. Thor Love and Thunder figures, and I got the Star-Lord one, which I adore. And his third costume that I really like, it's called the Dirty Dozen costume, and it's it kind of looks like what the Guardians 3 costume was like, but it has like a different kind of mask, like a helmet. Some really cool visualizations of it. It's really neat. It's really neat. Star-Lord's had since the movies come out, has had a big time breakthrough as a lead character in the comics, and it's showing. But yeah, this so good. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is Batman. My number 4 is Batman. If I got Robin on here, Batman's got to be on here. Batman, we just did a Batman villains list a couple months ago. I talked in depth about how much I love the character, my appreciation for the character. Growing up with the animated series, the movies, the toys, some of the video games, I've been quite aware of Batman for some time. he's had some really great costumes. It's one of the selling points of a lot of the toys was the variety of different costumes that he featured. I had an orange and black one. There was a couple different gimmicky themed ones that I was really enjoyed. But he had a variety, and that was what made Batman special, is that he had the different suits. In fact, the Lego Batman game, one of the cool things about it was you can change into a variety of different suits. There was there was like a water one, there was like a scuba one, if I'm not mistaken. He's had a lot of variations in the day. So picking 3 was hard, no doubt. It was definitely a challenge. But my favorite costumes for Batman, I love the gray and blue. I think what do they call it? They call it the Bronze Age Batman. But I always liked that one a lot. A little bit of a brighter blue, but the primary costume was gray. They've modified it over the years. Batman Animated Series kind of did a very darker, like a dark blue or even darker blue version with it. But there's something about this gray and blue that just pops for me, and it speaks classic Batman. My number 2 favorite is the Keaton Batman, the black with the yellow Batman logo on the front and center. Like, this is a more serious undertaking of the character. All right, this live action version, obviously the Adam West version was fun, goofy, in some ways of the era. But when you bring in the Keaton Batman, this dark atmosphere, and now Batman's in all black, pretty much, it adds a heaviness, a dark side to him that would influence the way that Batman was written and illustrated for, Jesus, over 30 years at this point. So the Keaton Batman is that one. And the other one that I really like too is the Azrael armor, which I thought was pretty nice. I think I might have had a action figure of the Azrael armor at one point in my life, but this is not Bruce Wayne. This is a separate character named Azrael, and he had some armor, and it looks almost like very samurai. Like, I'm not super familiar with the Azrael character. I should be open and honest about that. But man, this costume is so cool. I love this heavy, armored up Batman look. It's why I didn't hate the Batfleck, like Batman v Superman costume that much. But this one is way more detailed. There's way more to it, and yeah, it looks so cool. So Azrael armor, that is my number 3 favorite Batman costume and my number 4 favorite comic book character. We're going to number 3 now, and we're going to go with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Much like Batman, Spider-Man came into knowing through the animated series, through cartoons, through toys that my dad purchased for me. I had so many different Spider-Man Spider-Man action figures through my life. And he is, to me, Spider-Man rivals Batman as far as being like the GOATs for each brand. I know Marvel, a lot can be argued with that, and DC can, I guess, too, on the flip side. But like, there's going to come a day where I do a Spider-Man Rogues Gallery video, much like I did the Batman one. But, underneath the mask, Peter Parker's a relatable character. Everybody, I think, can find some relation with that. A kid who doesn't really have much going for him, bitten by all of a sudden has great power, right? And he has to learn to deal with it. He can swing with webs and crawl and all that stuff. I love the Spider-Man character. It has been done very well in its time and publication. My 3 favorite costumes for Spider-Man is as follows. The original, more so the 90s one, but that just blue and red. I don't mind the webbed wing kind of version. I don't hate that look at all, but that animated series one is quite special. I love one of my favorite non-Peter Parker Spider-Man is the Ben Reilly one. And they call this one the Scarlet Spider. I think there's a couple different Scarlet Spider looks, I think. But the one Ben Reilly one that I like a lot is the one with the blue hoodie, the cutoff vest hoodie. It feels very makeshift, and when I unlocked it in the PS4 Spider-Man game, I never switched it because I like that costume so much. And I liked it just the way that the eyes look on that one as well. And my third favorite is the symbiote because it was such a stark contrast between the brighter Spider-Man costume, and all of a sudden he's got a bit of a dark side. And then obviously, as time went on, we learned that this costume was alive and it would become something else. But Spider-Man's had a lot of cool costumes over the years, too. A lot of cool costumes over the years. But those are my three favorites, hands down. My number 2 is Venom. Venom is... he's just so cool. He has been drawn so well over the years, and that is played a big factor in it. I like the idea of being able to kind of control like a alien costume, and like the thought of it. Like, how cool would that be? Oh, maybe I only think that's cool, but on command, just blah, just all right, here we go. Just come on out. And it can be any kind of clothing that you want it to be. It can change into whatever you want. Like it's a multifaceted kind of thing. The Venom symbiote there's been a lot of retcons, changes to it to keep it fresh over the years. It was a way they described it the reason why it was part of Eddie Brock was because Eddie Brock had cancer. I think that was a part of it at one point. It used to be that, you just feed it chocolate and it's good to go. But they did a cancer angle with Eddie Brock. That's why they got along so well. But I always liked Eddie Brock too, because he had that tweener kind of feel for him, for himself. He was a villain, but it was a Spider-Man villain specifically, but there was a gray area. He viewed Spider-Man as his villain. He was big on protecting innocent lives, which I think is obviously quite admirable. But it's a neat look that, in I think a really perspective eye opener, that good and evil it can be a gray area. Who somebody we dislike and had a bad moment or we have a bad relationship with, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. All right, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people. It's just an epic disagreement. And obviously, in the case of a comic book character, it could be, the storytelling can involve all sorts of superhero comic book character fights and things blown out of proportion. But I like that. Anti-hero characters are my favorites. Characters that can flip on a whim. And there's always been a charm to Eddie Brock and his intentions, and the Venom character's intentions. And I thought, even though the trilogy was overall kind of disappointing, I do like that they portray that in the Tom Hardy trilogy. So my 3 favorite looks for Venom are as follows. One, it is the Eric Larson 90s version of him. It's a lot more detailed. This is the look that I learned to love Venom with. Just I don't know, just a lot more features. He didn't just feel like a just beefier Spider-Man. Even though I do appreciate it, it is my second favorite costume, the Todd McFarlane illustration of it, but that Eric Larson version, so much more detailed. The artwork from that era is immaculate, and hands down my favorite. But yeah, the original McFarlane, just beefy Spider-Man with the mouth, like it's all right, but obviously in my top 3 Venom costumes. So I do like it clearly, but it was the original. That's how it looked. That's how it should be portrayed, I guess. And my third favorite one is the one I've seen it a few times. It's like a Venom and it has wings. It's like it has devil wings. And I haven't played the game, but the Spider-Man 2 game that came out for PS5, the cutscene that I watched utilizes that look, which is just terrifying to think about. Instead of Venom using webs to get around or so on and so forth, the idea of this alien demonic devil thing just having wings and flying around is just terrifying. Scary. And I think it's a great look for Venom. So that's my number 2 is the Venom character. My number 1, I've alluded to him. It is Cyclops. Scott Summers. All right, the leader of the X-Men. I grew up, the X-Men animated series, I grew up watching Cyclops. All right, I came into the era that I came into watching the X-Men was the Jim Lee era. All right, it looked great. I had so many Cyclops action figures, and a lot of them, I used to have those 10-inch deluxe like Toy Biz figures. I had some shorter stature ones, but that Jim Lee era one just slaps. It is the best look. It is a shame that they have not utilized it the way that they should in the live action. They teased it at the end of that horrid X-Men Apocalypse movie, then they went in some other direction for Dark Phoenix. I don't know why. It was a waste. It was a letdown, like huge letdown. Not getting to see that costume in action. Hopefully, when the X-Men are starting to be used by the MCU, that we get to experience that. But yeah, I've always liked it. I always liked that he was like hated too. I mean, that's the markings of a good leader. Not like hated, but we'd always get into combat with Wolverine. Wolverine always had something to say, and he made a lot of tough decisions. It's also like why the X-Men Fox franchise was so overall disappointing too, is because here's Cyclops, and he was so misused. They misused James Marsden. They misused the other gentleman that they did in the reboot side of things. And I am fiending for a well-done Cyclops in live action. But my favorite costumes, obviously, number 1 is the Jim Lee 1990s version. That is the best one, in my opinion. I also like the white and blue X Factor one. And this one I actually had an action figure of back in the day. This was probably, honestly, the first action figure that I ever had. My dad, I think, had it and gave it to me, but it was like a part of a Secret Wars line, and there was a lever on the back, and if you pushed down on the lever, the eyes lit up. Like it was crazy cool, and I would love to get my hands on that figure again. But it had it covered his hair, and it had it was just a white and blue costume. I had a bendable action figure of him too. A couple of them actually. There was like him, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and maybe one other person. But I remember my dad fake throwing them in the reservoir when I was really little too, and then he did some kind of magic buffoonery. But anyways, I love that costume. And my number 3 favorite is the yellow and blue X Factor one. So this one, it was an updated look, and it exposed his hair, which I thought was always a neat look. It kind of reminded me of the X-Men Evolution look a little bit, but not quite that. But the X Factor one was pretty amazing, in my opinion. So there it is, everybody. That is my list. All right, those are my 10 favorite comic book characters, my favorite illustrations / costumes. Again, please feel free to share yours. I would love to hear about them. And that is it. Have a great weekend. We have 2 Halloween episodes planned for you next week with Mirror List Monday, as well as Fun List Friday. So please be sure to check them out. Thank you so much for your support and views and all of that jazz. I really love and appreciate each and every single one of you who give this channel a second of your time. I do. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Till next time, do you even list?